here we are. This is the week the NACS show opens. There's a lot of excitement. There's also a lot of excitement related to our incoming CEO, Frank Gleeson, who will lead NACS beginning in January. We're going to talk to him right now. But first, imagine turning your parking lot into a strategic asset. Electrify America offers a turnkey solution for businesses to deploy and operate their own EV charging networks through Electrify Commercial. With NEVI funding opportunities available, there's never been a better time to plug in. Visit electrifyamerica.com to learn more. Please note that this is a paid advertisement provided for promotional purposes only and does not constitute business, financial, or legal advice.
Hi, Jeff.
Hi, Frank. And obviously with that setup, I didn't do a proper intro, but welcome to NACS, Frank. And we look forward to the next couple months leading up, and then you take leadership in January 1st. So welcome back to the podcast. It's been a while, and looking forward to working more with you over the coming time. So thanks for joining us today, Frank.
Great to be with you, Jeff. I'm really excited to be here in Chicago. I mean, we're just about to start the greatest show on earth. And, you know, it's a privilege to be part of, or soon to be part of, the leadership of NACS, which I've obviously admired as an industry person for many, many, many years. And, you know, delighted to be back talking to you again. I've always enjoyed our conversations. And certainly, you know, this week's going to be an incredible week for everybody.
So, before we get into some of the NACS show related things, you were announced as the incoming president and CEO a few months ago. Talk to us a little bit about the kinds of messages that you've heard from folks as you were introduced as the president and CEO to be. What has that been like? As the kids say, has your inbox blown up?
Absolutely, Jeff. I mean, you know, the good thing about my appointment is people know me. I've been around our industry for 30 plus years. I've been involved in NACS for 20 plus years. So it's not like they're getting somebody they don't know. They're getting somebody they know very intimate. Everybody knows I'm very passionate about the business. I love NACS, love our industry. And, you know, it's just been incredible to get the messages, private messages, public messages, endorsements from are some of our biggest leaders in the industry. And, you know, it certainly has given me a level of confidence, excitement, enthusiasm, everything that you would expect, you know, and it's just my dream job come true. It's like winning the lottery for me personally, to kind of get to lead an industry that I've been part of for so long. And, you know, it's certainly something I'm going to take every advantage of and give incredible service to all of our members and all of our supplier partners.
Now, most people, when they say, if I win the lottery, it'll be my last day of work. You said winning the lottery feels like your first day of work. So that's a quite refreshing change from how most people think.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'd have to be really honest with you and say, if there was one job in the whole world that I wanted, this is it, you know, and it's kind of a fitting end to my long career to have the opportunity to serve the industry in this way. My passion has been higher. My energy levels have never been higher. So I'm looking forward to getting out and meeting everybody in North America, getting to know and listen to the members and hear what they want us to do and how they want us to serve the industry better, you know, and then be an advocate. I've been a very strong advocate internationally for our industry, and I'm looking forward to continue that work with Lyle and the team, you know, because we've got an incredible engine behind our advocacy, and it's important that we get our messages to government and we get good policy, not just in the US, but globally, because we are a global economy now and we're reliant on each other. So it's pretty exciting. It's just couldn't get any better for me personally.
So you had mentioned being in the industry for 30 plus years, and also being connected to NACS for 20 some years. I know we have talked in the past, and it started with the executive ed, and you'll be talking about that more this week in general session presentation. But what was your takeaway from your first connection with NACS? Was it, I didn't know this place existed and now I need to be there every year? Or what was that first takeaway like when you
there's a couple of things. I mean, I'll unpack it for you and say, you know, my first trip to the US was just to learn about best practice, you know, and we went to Wawa, Sheik's, Quick Trip. I had the privilege of going to the NACS office, and been introduced to what all I would consider was best practice 20 plus years ago in the US, right? So that was kind of my first taste. Then I was invited to attend, our first global forum by Henry, which I did attend, and I went to every one since then. So participation's required. If you want to be part of something, you got to turn up and participate. So that's where the network develops, Jeff, and you get to know people. You get to hear from leaders and visionaries and people who are doing it. What you can take from them and bring back to your own business. And then the biggest one for me, and you mentioned it there with the Cornell program. I mean, my personal journey on leadership had a profound change when I went to Cornell. It brought me from being a very, very strong manager, as I would call it, with great technical ability and amazing energy and drive to, being a leader of people, and a strategist. So that step change that NACS provides through Cornell and all of its programs, right? I think helps our industry executives become as good as they can be, or certainly go on that leadership journey or that personal development journey. So that's what I'm incredibly proud of. And the last piece I'll give you would be just sitting around the table, whether it's the board of directors, the international board of directors, the executive committee, or any committee. It's a learning experience, and you're just listening to what's going on, how people approach things, how they're problem solving. So, the environment is very rich in terms of what you can learn, but you've got to be willing and you have to participate. So I always tell new people who join NACS or get involved, turn up, participate, get involved, because, that's what the industry needs.
So here we have 20 some thousand people turning up in Chicago. And a lot of times we talk about how amazing that expo is. And it is amazing. But it's also the opportunity to go to these education sessions, to network, to make new connections, go to the general sessions and hear a leadership masterclass where Frank Gleeson will be one of the 3 CEOs speaking. But so that's my advice for people. But how did you, as a retailer, look at the NACS show? There's obviously the expo, but what a lot of times the best definition I've heard of the NACS show is when we ask open-ended comments from attendees, why do you go there? They say, I want to see the future. So when you went to the NACS show, how did you prepare to go to the show? And then what were your takeaways from the show beyond, as you said, turning up and going to meetings and some of those things that are more logistical? But what were the things that you took away for your business and for yourself?
Yeah, great question, Jeff. I mean, listen, you've got to have purpose, right? So when you go to a show like the NACS show, there's several elements to unpack. So the first one is obviously the expo, where you've got equipment, technology, you've got CPG, you've got all of the new innovation in one place. So you've got to make the time to walk the shop floor. You've got to get out and look at the different vendors and really be curious around what's coming next, what's the future categories that are being developed, what's the future technology that's coming at us, or what are the equipment breakthroughs, So for me, I would always bring a few people with me, because you don't want to have the experience on your own. You want to have the different layers of the organization, whether it's category managers, marketeers, operators, or senior leadership, right? To actually see and experience the same thing. So then we can and we always had at a kind of end of show review, what are the 3 big things in each category that we were looking at. Then you have what I would call the educational side of things, where there's lots of different streams for different types of operators. So if you're large, small, medium, there's something there for everybody in these different types of sessions, and you just got to make sure that you put the time in to actually participate and, go learn and take those ideas back. And then the final piece then for me is always around the networking piece. You can get business done sometimes at these shows because, senior leadership is there from the supplier vendor companies, or you could bump into somebody that, you haven't seen in a while that you might have an opportunity to do some, business with on a JV or anything. So it's a lot there, but all I'd say is it's worth 3-4 days. It's worth having a purpose and a plan. And then it's worth a kind of a review afterwards to say, okay, what are the 3, 4, 5, 10 things we're going to do in our business when we go back to make it worth our visit? And
one of the things when we talk about the expo, it's excitement around candy, snacks, etc. But the first thing you led with is equipment, and actually, when you look at every year the cool new products showcase, where they show new ideas that is kind of a bonus to the expo, it's interesting that yes, you have some of these cool new products that are products, but a lot of it is shelving, a lot of it is merchandising assistance and things like that. So it's very interesting that don't there's always pickle stuff, pickle themed flavored things, fun stuff like that, but it's a way to solve every business problem you have, and it's not a typical show that maybe focuses on only snacks or only beverages or only this.
Far from it, Jeff. I mean,
everything there.
Yeah, I mean, listen, let me give you a taste of what people are going to see. They're going to see the latest technology in pumps, latest technology in illumination, the latest technology in, how you actually present your stores, from a merchandising, equipment, cooking technology, display technology. All of that matters. And the leading operators are actually bringing new ideas into their business all the time. Mm-hmm. Then, of course, you have the products, and again, it's not just your standard regular categories, although there is innovation within categories every year, and we see that. There's some new categories, and I think that's the one thing that our channel has. It has the ability actually to create those experiences, but also those purchasing occasions for customers. And as their tastes change, and we can all say that the soft drinks category has fundamentally changed in the last 10 years, right? You might have had 12 doors of carbonated drinks. Now you're seeing a lot more innovation with functional drinks, different types of alcoholic or infused beverages. So there's so much change. You actually have to go somewhere like NACS to see it, because you will not, as a small, even a mid or a big operator, get a chance to see the breadth of innovation unless you see it in one place. And I think NACS delivers on that. And that's why people come back every year, Jeff. I mean, the only years I've missed are the years I couldn't go into America because of COVID, because I was restricted. I haven't missed a NACS show other than that.
So this year, your lens at the NACS show will clearly be different. You'll be looking at NACS operations. You'll be on stage. You'll be in meetings. Beyond that, I assume there's plenty of places that people can find you and say hi, say congratulations. How will you be navigating this year's show? I assume you'll be at the kickoff parties and all these other things. So you'll be around, but I guess a very different lens this year in looking at the bigger operation.
Yeah, listen, I'm going to be following Henry Armour around most of the time, right? Because he's the guy with the busiest schedule, and he has an incredible engine. So I'm currently recharging my batteries, getting some spare batteries so that I can follow him around the show. We can meet all the different components, attend all of the events that he does and I should attend. So expect to see me at all of the gatherings. Expect to see me on the show floor, because I will try and walk it as much as I can, and I'll try and make myself accessible. But it's only the start, Jeff. I mean, I'm really not starting until January. So my job in January when I get going is to get out and meet the members. So, expect to see me out on in the field, because that's what I love. I'm an operator. I've carried the bag. I'm one of the team. I've worked on the supply side. I've worked on the operations and retail side. So I can't wait to get out and meet the members in person. I'll have more time in 26 and 27, 28 and beyond. So the next show, if you don't get me, I'll be coming to you, hopefully, where you can get to me easier and better in the future.
And of course, when you will be going to stores and visiting people, it's probably a different mindset, where previously you'd be interested more perhaps in looking at how is the operation set up within the store? What are the products? What does the shelving look like? Now it's probably shifted a little bit more to about the people. What are the frontline people dealing with? What are the executives that are also there concerned about or proud of? So it's much more around a people business as you transition to hitting the road. Yeah,
no, I think it is. But I mean, one thing I'd pay tribute to, and I think this is an important point, NACS has some amazing leaders, right? So it's not about one person, it's about the team. We've got a team of professionals who are well tuned into what the members want. They have all of their mechanisms, the committees. And, ultimately, I think once we're listening to the members and we're anticipating what's coming down the pipe, in terms of legislation or change, be it economic change or social change or any change, which the world is changing faster than ever now. It's how we can listen to our members and support our members and guide them on the journey, and then connect them with, the partners that they need to be connected with, so that we become or maintain actually our leadership position. Because I think certainly from talking to people as I've been spending more time in Washington, NACS is so highly regarded, right? It is considered a powerhouse advocacy for American consumers, and rightly so, because we represent, well, actually, I think every American comes to one of our stores every 2 days. So that tells me we are at the heart of America. We are part of America, and we make America function, especially when times of crisis, Jeff, as you well know, when C-stores are probably the first responders to get food and beverage into people's hands when they need it. So incredible place to be. I'm so privileged to be selected to lead the organization, and I'm so proud of the work that Henry's done, to bring us to this stage. And, I certainly will try and build on that to the best of my ability.
So you had mentioned leadership a couple times. And as I mentioned, on October 16th, there is a general session featuring you and Henry Armour and Brian Honish talking about leadership and looking at some things that how do you deal with crises? How do you deal with things like that? So we're not going to get into that. We'll save that for the general session. But I was thinking in beyond how you look at leadership, one thing I'm curious in is, how do you look for leaders? And is there a trait or something when you're interviewing? Is there some secret sauce that you look for? Is it attitude? Is it aptitude? Can you train for it? I know I just threw a lot right at you, but how do you look at who might be a perfect leader?
Yeah, listen, it's two things for me. So it's kind of attitude is number one, right? Because when someone's willing, that's really important, because you can teach them a lot if they want to learn and they want to, develop themselves. The other thing is they have to have a certain level of ability. So I always say willing and able. They're the two measures. And if you can get top right-hand corner for both of those on my list, you're getting hired, right? So 10 out of 10 on attitude, 10 out of 10 on ability or capability or potential, I want you. And you come work for me or work with me, or if you collaborate with me, it'll be a great learning experience. We'll go on a journey together. I think the most important thing for leaders, Jeff, is 2 ears. So listen, because sometimes and I'm going to give great credit to younger people, right? So they are just incredible, right? They have no fear. They tell you stuff that you might not even be thinking about because you've been functioning in a particular way. So I think a blend of youth and gray hair is always important in any organization. So I always like a blended approach, not just in gender, not just in age, but, in terms of skill sets, and behaviors, because everyone has slightly different behaviors. So it's actually quite complex, but when you put it down to two things, it's willing and able.
So I'm lucky enough to do podcasts and talk to all kinds of interesting people, and also, like you, go to various NACS events and talk to people. Two fun things I have learned from HR people that they've used for, I would call them tricks, not on the level of what you were talking about. But one, and I'm not going to say the name of the organizations, but one would sometimes, when they're interviewing somebody, leave a piece of trash between where the person to be interviewed is and where that person is going, and see how that person reacts. And if that person picks it up, that kind of says, oh, they're invested in this place. It's not a perfect thing, but I thought that was really clever. The other thing that I heard from some HR people is they politely sometimes walk people out to their car at the end of an interview, just continuing the conversation. Then they kind of look at their car and they see, like, does this car have like 75 dents in it? And is it packed full of stuff? And, is this what the person really is like besides that half-hour interview? So, it's some of those ways to kind of, I don't say that's finding a leader, but if your car has 75 dents, you probably are not a leader, I'm guessing.
Yeah, it's
Or
an
you have
interesting.
kids,
I heard the
or you have
car one
kids that are
before.
drivers.
That's a new one for me, but certainly, I'm going to call it the hospitality, the kind of attitudinal side of things. So, if you're walking with me, Jeff, and we're walking down the NACS show, or we're walking across a garage forecourt, or walking through a shop, I'd probably pick up a piece of litter if I see it, because that's the way I've been trained, right?
Mm-hmm.
So small things matter, and it sets the standard, or it sets the tone for everything. It's a bit like, when you come into a room, or when you leave a room, leave it the same state you found it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Clean as you go. Why would you create work for somebody else? So I would always, when I'm in meetings, tidy up after myself, and my car is usually clean, and it's usually well organized because I'm a clean and organized person. So I hadn't thought actually subliminally that somebody checking my car would be thinking about me, but it makes sense because,
Mm-hmm.
if you take pride in your car, you probably take pride in everything you do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and just kind of wrapping up, we've talked about the NACS show. Like I said, your general session will be talking about leadership. Let's kind of save it for that. But want to end with just talking about the future. And I know we can't predict it because some of the things that you had mentioned, COVID, couldn't have really seen that coming. But we knew about pandemics and things like that. The change in the cold vault, kind of saw that coming, but it's kind of a steady evolution. And one of the things I've been talking to reporters, they've been asking about the rise in food service. And one of the things I said is we are adept in always looking at what the customer thinks convenience will be. And you look at, say, when the smartphone came in, what that did to some of our key categories: newspapers, magazines, film, maps, all of those are gone. But it created new opportunities to use apps, to use ordering, to grow food. Is there anything that you see out there as kind of weak signals, or maybe even strong signals, that I don't know what this means, but it will have an effect on our industry over the next coming years?
Yeah, Jeff, listen, I have a really positive view, and it's based on past performance, which is usually an indicator of future performance, right? So if you think about our industry, right, we have grown exponentially year on year on year on year, and we have broadened our categories and broadened our services, and we've replaced the Cokes and smokes with all the stuff you see today. And food service, front and center, it's at the core of the growth area in our business. You're seeing the big operators getting above 50% of the inside sales. The average is up in the 20s, right? So that's extremely positive, and that trend will continue. It may be slightly nuanced with some healthier eating, which is fine, but I think we are America's breadbasket, for want of a better term. We can service the consumers for their food and beverage needs daily and multiple times a day. So that's quite exciting because our locations are terrific. The quality of our operators is brilliant, and we are moving forward and investing in our stores. So that's really positive. There will be some evolution on fuel, although I think it'll be slower than people think, but it will evolve over time. And whatever is needed, our members will adapt because there's somebody somewhere in the world doing it. And because of our NACS network, we can actually give access and insights that nobody else can. So that information is just absolute like gold, right? That data, SOI data, the global data, all that information is available to our members at their fingertips. And if you want expert opinion or you want to be connected with an expert, we have the network. That's quite exceptional. I don't see that anywhere else. That's why I'm very optimistic. Of course, there's going to be economic challenges, social challenges, but do you know what? We're pretty essential, right? So just think about the part we play, and some of the work through our foundation that we do for America, we do for the world in terms of giving back. We are very well placed to take advantage of challenges, but also what I believe opportunities to grab more market share, to give consumers more for their wallet spend, because we're better value for money typically because we're efficient, we run good stores. And if we can grow our basket size, do you know what? very hard to compete against us. So I'm very optimistic. We got some amazing single store operators. We've got some great big chains. We've got some great regional players, global players. It's exciting to be in this industry, Jeff. I'm sorry, I can't make any excuses. I'm thrilled to be here.
That's a great way to end the show. I'm not gonna beat that. So we're very optimistic about the future, both with Henry Armour continuing to lead NACS, and come January, Frank Gleeson leading NACS. So I hope this is the first of many conversations, Frank. And this week, everybody, if you can find Frank, say hi. Go to the general session on October 16th. See a little bit, hear a little bit more about his views on leadership and some of the takeaways that you will get from that. And enjoy the NACS show. And much more to come with Frank. So thanks for joining us today, Frank.
Thank you, Jeff. Look forward to seeing everybody this week.
And thank you all for listening to Convenience Matters.
Convenience Matters is brought to you by NACS and produced in partnership with Human Factor. For more information, visit convenience.org.